how did Iowa wrestling shift to a predominantly Pennsylvania wrestling lineup? You may be wondering what I'm talking about. What is going on with Iowa's lineup? What am I saying? What does this even mean? No, before I get to that, I want to mention the sponsor, Wrestling with Virtue, a great wrestling club in Pennsylvania, in Canonsburg, Pennsylvania, run by Coach Brian Krenzlock, who has 20-plus years of wrestling experience in the Canton-McMillan area. It's a club not only for wrestling, but for faith and talking all about character development and virtues. You may have seen him on a recent video on my channel discussing all those sorts of things. So if you're in that area, you make sure you want to check that out and click the link in the description below to learn more. But as far as Iowa's new wrestling lineup, what the heck is going on here? Well, I want to show you something real quick. And the first thing I want to show you is this. This graph. Iowa Hawkeyes roster since 2009. So from 2009 to 2019, Iowa's roster is down 33% in Iowa recruits and up 17% in Pennsylvania recruits on their entire roster. So, you know, that ranges each year from 30 to 40 to around 40 to 50 guys each year. Now, in 2009, there were 30 Iowa guys on the roster, and spattered throughout the lineup. And there were 0 from Pennsylvania. Move on a few years to 2015, 20 guys from Iowa, 1 from Pennsylvania. And in this current year, there are 15 guys from Iowa on the entire roster and 6 from Pennsylvania. So what the heck is the deal there? Now, the other graph I have here is just showing, I'm going to pull this up and showing you the Iowa's Hawkeyes roster in 2009 versus all the other states. Pennsylvania is a big one. There are a couple big states here that, you know, just to look out for, but it's just another cool graph that I put together all about their lineups. Now, why would Iowa, why would the Tom and Terry Brands switch away from Iowa recruits when they were doing so well? And I don't think this is necessarily anything against Iowa. I want to make that kind of clear. I think that this has a lot to do with Pennsylvania. So looking back at 2009, in the past Iowa wrestling, they won their conference championships from 2008 to 2010, also won nationals during those years, and during that time, kind of after that, Iowa kind of started shifting away. Didn't lose. They weren't necessarily, it's not like they went off a cliff. It's not like they were a horrible program or anything, but they just went down a little bit years after that. And at that time, a similar time, Penn State wrestling started going up. What's the correlation there? Well, Penn State had a lot of strong Pennsylvania guys in their lineup. Looking at, and I'm talking early, Frank Molinaro, Ed Ruth, Quentin Wright, and then getting into the Jason Knopfs, getting into the Zane Rutherfords and the Vincenzo Josephs, I mean, kind of over time. Well, Tom Brands, being the smart coach that he is, he kind of sees that this is where a lot of the wrestlers are coming from. They're coming from Pennsylvania. They're coming from Western Pennsylvania specifically. In my video last week, I talked about Spencer Lee and how he's affected the program, bringing that into Iowa. So, like I said, let's talk about a little bit about this history. And the first thing that I want to kind of show here is just discussing the order. How did this happen? How did this change over time? And then I'll show you the exact lineups. And I think this is huge because I think the lineups from 2009 to 2019 are just crazy to look at as far as PA versus Iowa. So let's discuss this. Well, in 2010, like I said, that was the year there were 30 guys from Iowa in the roster. 2011, that's when they started adding a couple of Pennsylvania guys. Looking at Josh Jebwa, a state champ. Looking at Mike Evans, another state champ, freestyle state champ, and eventually a 3-time All-American. Both of these guys are from Pennsylvania. Now, interestingly enough, they were from other sides of the state and not from the western side of the state, which is where we'll be getting to in a little bit. Jean-Jacques, a transfer from Rutgers, was there for a year, and then that was 2013. And then 2015 was whenever Kemmerer kind of committed and was added to the Iowa lineup. From Murraysville, Pennsylvania, a Young Guns wrestler, a Franklin Regional wrestler, a Whitfield wrestler with strong... Now, during this time, during 2015, I want to say that Iowa still had very strong ties to Iowa. They had Thomas Gilman, an Iowa guy, Brandon Sorensen, an Iowa guy, Vince Turk, Cash Wilkie, who's still in the lineup, Iowa wrestlers through and through. There were still so many Iowa wrestlers in this lineup. Now, as we start to transition more and we start to see guys like Spencer Lee commit with Gavin Teasdale at the time, they did commit on at the same time. Michael Kemmer, Caleb Young. We start to see Max Murin all commit to Iowa and start going there. 2017. 2018, I mean, that was just kind of a massive year when they added all these guys, as well as a Pat Dugan, who's not with Iowa anymore, but he's wrestling somewhere else. And then 2018, we see a guy from Pennsylvania shift in with DeSanto. And, you know, that was a little bit controversial with him and Lee. 2019, that's when Teasdale finally transferred out of Penn State into Iowa, and that's where we get this lineup right here. This is the lineup that I'm talking about. Now, what's interesting here is the guys in yellow, these are the guys who are from Iowa, originally from Iowa, wrestling for Iowa. And the blue on the right-hand side from Pennsylvania. Now at 41, you'll see that I have Ironman also kind of highlighted. He's not actually from Pennsylvania, he's from Missouri. But we see that what's interesting here is that on 2009, there were 6 guys from Iowa out of 30-some that were on their 30 total guys in Iowa's roster, and they were all in the lineup. Whereas on this side, with the current year, we see there are 6 guys from Pennsylvania in the lineup. No, 5 guys from Pennsylvania, but 6 total PA guys in the lineup, with Gavin Teasdale being that 6th guy. Now, I think this is a big shift for Pennsylvania, for Iowa, I should say, and it's really showed that this is possibly the reason that they are so dominant now. They're getting these best recruits. Tom Brands is showing that these are the top guys in the country that they're wrestling, and this is the first time in I don't know how long since there has not been an Iowa wrestler in the lineup, because recently we saw Sod out or in the lineup compared to Brandt and Wilkie, who are both from Iowa. Just some interesting statistics there. Please let me know what you think about this. Is this bizarre to you? Is this right where Iowa should be? Are you an Iowa wrestling fan? Is there any issues that you have with this? I just find it very interesting to look at.